In this video, I will explain to you how is the pipeline of production for a real-time production. You will see it's a little bit different than the DCC software. So you know already the traditional 3D pipeline that this is from another module that I conduct. So in yellow you can see this is a pre-production, so we'll not really speak about that. After the production, we have actually a part to create the asset. Okay, so you have the modeling, the rigging, the surfacing. You can have also a bit of lighting, and after we will go to the animation, and later you will do the post-production with compositing and editing. So you can do most of this production in Maya, for example. So how do we work with a real-time pipeline? First, you have to understand that we don't do everything in Unity or Unreal. We're still using the DCC software like Maya, Max, Blender to create the assets. Okay, so essentially we create the model, and later we will work on the animation. So what we do when it's done, we can import it in the real-time engine, and in this real-time engine we will do a lot of rendering. So we will do the lighting, the look dev. So we don't do this lighting and look dev in Maya, Max, Blender. We could, but it's a waste of time. We can also do some animation, but usually we don't do complex animation or character animation. Even if there are some tools for that, they are not as good as Maya. And for you, I highly recommend you to do all your animation in Maya. But you could do a bit of animation in Unity. You can do, of course, the interaction. That's why it's a game engine. Work on the camera, on the editing, because you can render a full movie in Unreal or Unity in one scene. You can do some effect, some post-production, and the sound. Okay, but actually in parallel we also work with the palette. We don't paint the object in Unity. So like for the DCC software, we need some palette like Substance, Photoshop, Quixel. Knowing that you have some plugin, for example in Unity there is a plugin to use Substance and readjust your Substance in Unity. When you have that done, what can you do? This is an interesting thing. When you know a software like Unity or Unreal, from that you can do many different products. So now you can do movies. It's a bit new, but we have already many production, especially TV series, done with Unity or Unreal. At school, we did a movie selected in, I think, 9 international festivals. This movie was done in Unity. So we can do films, we can do augmented reality, we can do virtual reality, games, architecture visualization, pre-visualization. So for production, it's like 3D animatic, VFX background, and prototyping. Prototyping, it's like you build a new phone or a new car, and you will visualize it using Unity or Unreal. Then you can visualize it in real time. So it's very used by these industries now. Okay, so now you understand that it's not like Maya or Blender. If you know Unity, you can reach more industries. Okay, you as a student, it's very important to know that. So one of the very good point with real-time software, this is the iterations. You will see this semester when you do a project, you can work, you will load everything in the same scene, and you can modify in the same time your editing, your camera, your animation, your lighting, your sound, import new model at any time. And when you click play, you still can see that in real time. You don't need to re-render everything. Okay, so usually we say in a production you can have different people working on the same scene. Okay, on different tasks. Okay, so what's happened? these people work, or only one staff can work on these different things in the same time. We will have a creative review. We continue after this creative review to improve all these things in the same time. Why not? If necessary, but we can re-import new asset. For example, the table is not nice. You just load a new one from Maya or from the asset store, okay? And we continue new creative review, and it can go to the infinity, of course, because at any time of the production, the director can come, take a look. You play in real time, or almost in real time, for if it's a movie, and he will tell you, okay, can you change the color of that, change the color of this t-shirt. You do it, and he can visualize in real time the result. You don't need to wait 1 or 2 days, time that in DCC software you need to render the shot. Here the rendering is real time. So this is a strong difference, very big difference, because in Unity or Unreal we have usually more iteration, and a success of a movie or a production depends of the number of iteration. If you have 0 iteration, usually it's very bad. If you have more iteration, it means improvement. Your product will be better. So that it's huge difference. This is why many companies like now to produce with real time. Okay, advantages. So I listed some advantages. User friendly. Of course, you always need time of adaptation, but it's clearly user friendly when you know 3D, especially because of this iteration actually. Rendering time, of course, if it's a game or immersion, of course it must be totally real time. If it's a movie, no need to be real time, but if you have very complex scene, each frame will take perhaps only 1 or 2 seconds to render, which is nothing. Okay, so when we did our VR movie, not our VR movie, Unity movie, it was a 5-minute movie with a student. They could render the full movie 5 minutes in a few minutes, and it was a 4K movie with 60 FPS. Parallel process, so it's what I told you. You can work on different tasks in the same time, work on the animation, and decide to change the lighting, decide to change the color of the t-shirt, and then you continue to work. Iteration, I just explained to you. Mix of production and post-production. So, for example, you want to do color correction. In a classic production, you will go in your compositing software or editing software, and you will do that in this post-production software. Here you can do it directly in Unity. You have some post-production tools. Okay. It allows you to do effects also, compositing, color correction, I just explained, editing, because you can also do your editing, why not, in Unity. And you can put the sound. Okay, it will be much easier for the sound because you don't need to really adjust the stereoscopy. It will do it for you. You have, for example, a car in your scene, and you just attach a sound to the car. So if the car is on the right, you will hear a sound on the right. If the car moves to the left, you will hear the sound from the left. Easier access to cross-media production. So that it's because when you know Unity, finally you can work for game, you can work for animation, you can work for VR. So this is what we call cross-media. Some production. For example, a TV series. We will, from this TV series, do the video game, okay, or do a short movie. So this is what we call cross-production. Possibility for real-time artists to work on different type of production. So if you know well Unity, if you are a good animator in Unity, but you can work for animation, for game, for VR, for prototyping. Okay. Extremely fast development of the software. This is really important. You have, for example, we work on Unity for this module. Every other week you have a new version of the software. every other week. Okay, and every year you have really some major development in this software. It's not the case of Maya, which is really an old software. This is a case of Blender, but it doesn't grow as fast as Unity. Company acquisition. So that this is also something very important. There is a kind of huge competition between Unity and Unreal, and they, instead of developing everything, they are buying companies. So for example, Quixel was bought by Unreal, MetaHumans is Unreal, Speed3 this is Unity, the tools of Weta Digital from New Zealand, it's Unity who bought it, and also their assets. ArtStation, I forgot, I think it's Unreal, etc., etc. Huge asset store. That this is also a specificity of this software. They both have a huge store online, and you can download assets. Some are free, some are not. We will see that this semester. And a very active community. So if you need help, it's easier to find help on Unity and Unreal than Maya. Before to start, same principles as the DCC software. Like one super important is the scale. So always check your scale. Be sure your scene is at the good scale before to do something complicated. Every semester we see students who make this mistake. Okay. Why it's important? Because the lighting is based on physics. You know, there is a decay in the lighting. The photons with the distance lose their energy. So if you are with the wrong scale, your lighting will not be so realistic. Or it can, but it will be more difficult for you. Same for physics. So Unity unit is the meter. So it means 1 is equal 1 meter. Very different from Maya. Maya, it's 1 equal centimeter. So it means you have a table. In Maya, the table will be perhaps, if it's a table of 1.5 meter, in Unity it will be 1.5, but in Maya it will be 150. Okay, so be very careful with that. But if you export your object from Maya and import it to Unity using the FBX file, which is recommended, most of the production use that, Unity will know the real scale, and you will not have to scale it by yourself. Okay, it will do it automatically. FPS. Okay, when you animate in Maya, it's good to know at the end what FPS you will have in Unity. If it's for a game, it's okay, because game Unity will just try to get the highest FPS that it can. Okay, so it could go to 200 FPS if you have almost nothing in your scene. But if you work for a movie, you have to be very careful. Be sure you animate with a good FPS in Maya, and that you have the same FPS in Unity. Okay, so knowing that the real time, the rendering is almost real time, it's a good opportunity for you to work in Unity with, for example, 60 FPS. Okay. Geometry optimization, that you learn that in modeling, and it's even more important for real time. If you have too many polygons, it will just be laggy. Okay. So very often the student asks me, how many polygons can I have? I have no clear answer. It will depend of, for example, the complexity of your shader, the number of lights that you have. It will of course depend of the PC that you have. So if your PC is weak, if you are over 1 million, it could be a bit laggy. If it's not a weak PC, you can have several millions of polygons. Okay. So always test, okay, on your 3D PC, okay, and test at school also. So usually it's very important to understand for the optimization. So optimize your topology, of course. Another way to optimize is it's always faster in a real-time software to render one object of 1000 polygons than 10 objects of 100 polygons. You understand that the number of polygons is the same, but it prefers to have a minimum of objects. So for that, usually we try when we can. Sometimes it's not possible because of the texture. We try to merge or to combine the geometries in Maya before to import them in Unity. Number of polygons for a character, I think it could be up to 10K. No problem now with this strong software. Even in VR, we reach a good FPS with character who have almost 10K. And that I told you, optimize your topology. If you work with ZBrush, so use a maximum of normal mapping or high mapping. So you try to have a geometry with a minimum of polygon, and then you have all the details or maximum of details in your normal map or high map. Okay. Files and folder. Always avoid special character and space when you name a file or folder. It creates a lot of problems in many software. Okay, and in some company it will be just forbidden, especially for example if they don't use Windows or Mac and they use for example Unix or Linux, it will be a problem. So take this good habit to have no special character and no space. Add number to your files. Okay, so when you work on a house, don't just save always with the same name, house, 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 house. So do house 01 after 30 minutes, house 02 after 1 hour, house 03. Sometimes you can even add to this name at what step you are. For example, I do a house and I just finished the roof, so I will call it house, for example, 07 roof. Okay, so later it helped me if I have a problem, corrupted file, I can always go to the previous file. Okay. Organize your files and projects using the asset subfolder. Okay, so for example the subfolder model where you will put your FBX, the prefab, material and shader, texture. Okay, so organize well your work using folder. For your working file, you know, Maya or Photoshop, especially Photoshop, don't put them in the Unity folder. You put them in another folder. So me, in the Unity folder, I have only the file necessary for my Unity project. Okay, why? Because the Unity project, you will see, is pretty big. And if you add some Photoshop or Maya file, it will become huge. Okay, it could be tens of gigabytes, so be very careful. Just an example of production. This one is a movie. It's not what we will do this semester because we will do something real time. For this movie, so this one you cannot play it in real time because they did some compositing for some shot in Nuke. Okay, the too complex compositing, they did it in Nuke. So, but just to help you to understand, you know, you have in Unity the project, you have the scene, so, and also to understand the import from DCC software. So when they have a Maya set, this is FBX. Okay. When they have a Maya character, they don't export a FBX, they export a Alembic file. Okay, and that I will speak about that in another video. It's because if you have a too complex rigging, especially with claws or with deformation of claws or with some expression, Unity cannot read it. So if it's a FBX, so it has to be an Alembic file. For this semester, you will not need that. Okay, you will use only FBX. And what they do, they create for each sequence a Unity project. Okay, and in this sequence, for every shot, they create a Unity scene. Okay, so I hope it's clear. If not, anyway, you can always ask me in class. Okay. So that's all for the pipeline of production and some advice when you start a project. So if you have a question related to this video, please ask me in class. Thank you.